I see a boy who's like like a 15, 16 a 15, 16-year-old kid who's had the same bike his whole life, and every day he goes outside, he says, "Hey dad, hey you think we could take the training wheels off today?" And the dad says, "Come on, son, we're not taking these training wheels off." He's like, "Yeah, dad, I figured I'd just throw it out there, but it's cool. I appreciate it. I'm glad I got this bike." So one day, maybe one day, the Detroit Lions will take the training wheels off Hendon Hooker's bike. I don't think it'll really come. I was confirmed. My suspicions were confirmed. They gave the start to Kyle Allen. And he went out there and he did some things, and then he did some good things. He did some bad things.
He did some bad things, and then he did some good things. He did the bad things first.
It was. We go ahead and I'll just go ahead and get into it. Kyle Allen went out there, and his 2 interceptions were so loud that that's what everybody's going to remember about that game. But I mean, he's a backup quarterback, so I'm not expecting the moon and the stars from Kyle Allen. I'm just expecting him to get the ball out on time, which he did do a number of times during his debut.
But Kyle Allen thinks he's the moon and the stars. He said he was Jared Goff. He said, I feel like I'm me and Jared Goff. If you look in the mirror, I mean, we the same guy. Yeah, Kyle Allen thinks he's that guy, man. And I know we talking about backup quarterback, and that's it. But man, every year, man, the Lions bring in a guy, and he's essentially Nate Stubblefield, man. Even before Nate Stubblefield, I can't remember the guy before Nate Stubblefield, but he was Nate Stubblefield. Like we're bringing in the same guy, and they're like, we hope this Nate Stubblefield clone beats out Hendon Hooker. Meanwhile, they're putting Hendon Hooker with the 5th string guys, and they're limiting his throws, and he's got the worst line ever. And then everybody's like, see, I told y'all, guy sucks. He just wants to run all the time. You know what I'm saying? He pulled the ball down again. Not to mention that he's the guy third graders blocking for him, and the pocket breaks down immediately. I mean, like, give the guy a chance, man. Let him give him a minute to be protected. Let him throw to some guys who are actually going to catch the ball, or some guys who are going to create some separation or get open, man. That's what I want to see. So for all the people that be like, y'all just want to make excuses for him, no, I just want to see if the man goes out there with guys around him, just like all the other quarterbacks, and the Lions give him a chance to do his thing, then and he sucks. Hey, I'll be the first to be like, hey, this whole time I was wrong. I can admit that. Get this guy out of here. But until you let me see what the guy's made of with the same circumstances that everybody else has, no, you're gonna hear me bitch about it.
Because every year, I mean, you hit the nail on the head, man. Every year they bring in a journeyman, backup quarterback. I don't want to say they fall in love with this guy, but they immediately, give him the second reps. This Jared Goff, this journeyman, and then Hendon Hooker is over there doing sprints. And then when the game starts, when preseason starts, they always get his journeyman the first start at it. He goes out there, he doesn't wow anybody, he does whatever, and then at the end of the season, somewhere during the line, he gets cut, and Hendon Hooker hangs on, and then we do the process all over again the next year. If anybody's watching this and they got they got an inside track to it, or they got more information than we do, but it just seems like you're saying one thing but you're doing something else. So again, Hendon Hooker has been here, this whole time, and the first year obviously he had to rehab, get his knee back together. But since then, it seems like you've invested in them. And every year, it's like we're starting all over again in the investment train. And the biggest thing, I think last year, the end of preseason last year, I felt like he showed some things. He had a couple of good games during preseason. I looked it up, and his first game was bad last preseason too. But as the preseason went on, he did better and better. And then you remove Ben Johnson from the equation and you replace him with Johnny Morton. So I feel like it might have took him some time to get Ben Johnson's his plan down.
And now you got to learn a whole new plan.
Now you got to learn a whole new system. So I'm curious to see how that goes. I'm wondering if that had any effect on him during this game. But as far as the battle between him and Kyle Allen, I think it'll continue to go on. And I think even though Kyle Allen's two interceptions were really inexplicable. The only thing I can tell you is that at the line he made up his mind where he was going with that ball. And even though the coverage dictated otherwise, he still forced that ball in there. Now those things are so egregious that maybe you could convince me that he could look at that and just be like, well, I just can't do, like, just don't do that again. Like it's pretty simple. Like if it's not there, then don't do that again. But maybe that's who he is. There's no way in hell he thinks he's some type of gunslinger. So I just feel like the coaching staff can look at that and be like, we can convince him not to go out there and lose his mind. Because that's what he did. He went out there, those two interceptions, he just went out there and lost his mind. He might as well have been blindfolded when he threw that ball, both of those balls. So that one was a force to Tesla, and I think the other one might have been a Tesla too, honestly, or it might have been a Lovett. I'm not sure, but yeah, man. We'll see how the battle goes. They got Atlanta Friday, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, this is what I'll say, man. As far as the two quarterbacks go, I'll say this for Allen. Like you said, man, he's been on 5 teams, so there's a reason he's been on 5 teams. What I will say is that towards the end of coming up towards the second half, he did okay. All his throws weren't perfect, but he did have some flashes of moments where he hit Tesla in stride, and he hit Lovett for a couple of passes, and he even got us a touchdown. I don't know. I think that touchdown was off the back of our running backs, but he still got the job done on that one drive. Other than that, he didn't really show much, but like you said, the biggest factor, the biggest takeaway, the most egregious thing was those 2 turnovers. And those 2 turnovers were reminiscent of games in the past, like a weakness that I see reoccurring in Lions, where we'll be driving downfield on a scoring drive, and we'll end the drive on a turnover, and then the other team will go down and score, and flip the game on the side, and we lose those games. And usually those games are crucial moments, are crucial games, playoff games where if we hadn't made those turnovers, we could either be in the Super Bowl or possibly have won the Super Bowl if we hadn't made those turnovers. And then, as Dan Campbell said, I think the coaches are getting sick of that. You got to take care of the ball, is what Dan Campbell said in his interview. And if you can't do that, then you might not see yourself wearing a Lions jersey. Golf. But to move on, I'm
Hey, I'm gonna
I'll
edit
go
that out, y'all. Don't worry.
Let's move on, man. On the other side of that, man, Hendon Hooker. I think the most egregious thing that the coaches are upset with him is even though he doesn't have the best line in front of him, he doesn't have the best receivers in front of him. You still got to make decisions out there, man. And Hendon Hooker is pulling the ball down. He's not pulling the trigger. Like when you see the routes, you got to react fast and throw that ball out there. And like he's too hesitant. Now I think that's a mental thing that can be fixed, but you got to fire that thing off. But one thing I will say is, as hesitant and as much as he held onto the ball, he's not turning the ball over. So, would you want somebody? I mean, like I said, it was just game one, man. So we will have to see what happens in the preseason games moving forward, and see if he does improve. Like you said, he should be starting next week. So if he shows some improvement, we'll get a lot more answers in the next games coming up.
So the last thing I'll say about it, one, as far as the backup quarterback is concerned, if you're talking about where we have two games left in the season, and Jared Goff goes down with an ankle sprain, and we're gonna need him back in he's gonna need like 3 weeks. So somebody's gonna have to go out there and play two more games and the first playoff game. Yeah, no, neither one of these guys is ready for that situation. And in which case, yeah, you need to do something drastic, which is kind of the tenor that I'm getting from Lions fans across social media, at least. But that's not how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it more so as if a golf goes down and you just need somebody to finish a game, or you need somebody for a game, at a time. If golf goes down for an extended amount of time, then I mean you could do what you can, but I don't think anybody's out there. I've been seeing some Carson Wentz's and people now everybody loves Trey Lance. So I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, but nobody's gonna be able to keep the boat afloat as Jared Goff is.
So that's what I was going to ask you, man. If neither, like, let's say all three of these preseason games go by, and neither one of these guys show any improvement, they looked exactly the same they did in his first games. Are there any potential people? I don't know, Dorsett or Brissett, anybody that you would like the Lions to go out and get? I heard Joe Flacco. I'm not. No. But
Joe
anybody you?
Flacco, yeah. I don't know where Brissett is, but Brissett always finds his way on the team. So I'm not sure if he's a free agent or not. Joe Flacco definitely is not a free agent. He's still with the Browns. So I mean, you could make a trade. I mean, you could trade for a backup quarterback. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I just think you're spinning your tires in mud. It's not going to get you out, in my opinion.
All right, Cooper Rush or uh, I want to say Minshew because I don't like him.
Yeah, I mean, you could if you could do whatever. It would have to be at the time situation for me to tell you what I think they would have to do in that situation. Right now, it's an insurance plan that you don't know you'll ever need to cash in. We had these same conversations last year, and they ended up bringing Teddy Bridgewater back. And for that one drive, he made it happen. I mean, he pretty much just handed the ball off the whole time. So I feel like you could definitely find a quarterback who could do that. The last thing I'll say real quick is Kyle Allen in that game. The negatives were obviously the two turnovers, terrible. The positives though were he was able to get the ball out on time, similar to Jared Goff. And I know that this coaching staff loved that. They had to. They're big on getting the ball out on time. They hate it when you stand back there and you try to let the play overdevelop, and then by this time you got pressure coming in and you're making mistakes. It's crazy because those that's the other thing, man. Maybe that's what it is. Those interceptions he threw, there was no pressure on him. So it's not even like pressure was on him and he just made a bad decision. Because you see that all the time. Pressure gets to the quarterback, they make a bad decision, interception. He had no pressure on him. He just made a terrible decision to throw that ball. So that was the bad. But the good was, yeah, he scrambled. He got that first down. He looked poised out there the whole time. Like, again, he was never seemingly under any intense pressure. I get it. Preseason game number 1, but I mean, you joke about it, but he did look like Jared Goff light out there. And if you're the coaching staff, I think that's what you want to see, because your whole offense is going to be designed around Jared Goff. So if Jared Goff goes down and we could get discount Jared Goff out there, that makes sense. Real quick, as far as Hendon Hooker, it's the opposite. He did not look poised out there. The line wasn't terrible. The line was not great, but the line wasn't terrible. He had time. It's a very, damning image on floating across social media where he's got a clean pocket. He's got the ball. He's looking downfield, and he's got 2 receivers that are open, and he ends up scrambling. And that's the type of things that are gonna bite him in the ass, essentially. And the other thing was, Dan Campbell talking about the good things that he did, and that was another one that I had to roll my eyes on, because Dan Campbell said, "Oh, well, he made the right audible, or the right check down or something like that." And I'm like, wow, that's the best. That's the most positive thing he took out of it, which goes back to every issue that rookie Lion has. Now, he's not a rookie, obviously, but young Lion player, it's always, they don't know the playbook. They're not ready. They got to figure out the playbook. They gotta be on time. Da 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 da. So I'm still hearing those words, and that just tells me they still don't think he's ready. And I'm just so tired of hearing that. And as far as the positives, we all know Hooker's athleticism, and he was able to show it to you. He was able to move. He was able to avoid a sack. He was able to throw a deep ball that Lovett dropped. So those are the things that I came away with.
Yeah, man. I feel like in order for him to get better, credit to a video you sent me. Shout out to Spirit of Detroit. The guy's got to play games, man. The more games he plays in, like you said, last year, as he played in more preseason games, he got better. And I don't know about you, but to me, it just feels like the way the Lions are coaching this guy up is hindering them, because, like I said, they won't put him with a string higher than the third string. When he's in, he has way more runs than any of the other quarterbacks. I see way more runs with him than anybody else. And even in last season, in games where we were blowing people out of the water, and it's like where most other teams would have took their starting quarterback out and put him on the bench since the game is over, and let your at the time, even though he wasn't technically a rookie last year, he was a rookie because he didn't play. He was out the whole first season. Instead of letting your rookie quarterback and get some actual real game time experience, you leave Goff out there for the entirety of the game, and you let him, and you don't bring him out until like 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and then you still running plays. So I mean, I think that is crucial development time in a real time game that could have been beneficial to him. So to me, all this stuff is staggering them. And I get that they like to bring players along slowly, but I don't think it's helping them.
I see a boy who's like, like a 15, 16 a 15, 16-year-old kid. who's had the same bike his whole life, and every day he goes outside, he says, "Hey, Dad, hey, you think we could take the training wheels off today?" And the dad says, "Come on, son, you know we're not taking these training wheels off." He's like, "Yeah, Dad, I figured I'd just throw it out there, but it's cool. I appreciate it. I'm glad I got this bike." So one day, maybe one day, the Detroit Lions will take the training wheels off Hendon Hooker's bike. I don't think
Say
it'll
about it.
really come. Yeah, last thing. Everybody hates Chris Collinsworth. I like Chris Collinsworth, whatever. But he talked about it during the broadcast, and he was the first person I heard talk about it. And that is, I've heard people talk about, well, Hendon Hooker will never work out because he went to Tennessee, and Tennessee was such a gimmick offense. But nobody ever really goes past that, as far as explaining why he wouldn't. And Chris Collinsworth hit the nail on the head when he said, when Hendon Hooker was at Tennessee, he threw the ball once the receiver was open. And to your point, this offense and how this offense has been created, you got to hit that receiver before he's open. You're hitting him,
Right.
as he's making his break. So Hooker is going to have to be able to develop, his foresight, which is, it's not impossible, but it is gonna take some time, and it's gonna be difficult. And to that point, would he flourish more if they treated him as though he were not Jared Goff or Kyle Allen? He probably would, but that brings me to my next point. What did you think about what you saw? The little that we did see from Johnny Morton. I keep on calling him Charlie Morton because the Tigers just straight up for Charlie Morton. But what did you take away from seeing Johnny Morton and Kelvin Shepard?
Uh, Not much. You're not gonna get much in a preseason game. Um, the the routes were pretty basic. The plays were pretty basic. A lot of run setup, couple of quick throws into open space. Nothing too. I don't really think it was a lot to take away from the coaches, man. The defense. Oh, the defense. I don't even want to. The defense looked awful, dog. Oh man, we shouldn't even have a defense out there. Um, Rock out saying was the highlight of the defense. He stood out. I seen him make a couple of plays. My boy, the guy I've been referencing since day one. My rock, the one I've been rooting for. In this racetraw, went out there and played a horrible game, man. He got beat deep. He got beat deep once, and then when he did make a play, he got a pass interference, and he may as well have got beat deep on that play as well. So
Ben Johnson, who has become public enemy number one, um, he say what you will about him, but for whatever reason, man, it's the optic. I don't know if it's the optics. I don't know what it is, but I'm just so used to seeing that offensive coordinator down there on the field, and it's been a while. I think Anthony Lynn was the last time that we had somebody up in the booth calling plays. I think Scott Linehan back in the day. I think he was a booth guy, but I don't know, man. It's just something about the guys up in the booth. I'm not saying that it doesn't work, because it does work. There's plenty of people. There's plenty of successful offensive coordinators that are down there. I mean, that are up there in the booth. Um, I can't think of who the OC is for the Philadelphia Eagles, but and I know McVay and Kyle Shanahan are both head coaches and they call the play, so you can't really include them. But I'm just so used to seeing the OC down there on the field. So I just feel like it's an old school. I just feel like it's an old school method to be up in that booth, and nothing about this Lion staff in the past couple of years has been really an old school approach It's been a lot of nuance, futuristic, not futuristic, but more future minded optics, pretty much. So again, this is completely based on nothing, just how I feel. But I'm not crazy about him being up in the booth. And maybe during the season at some point he'll come down in the booth, but I hope that doesn't happen, because if he does that, that means that they're struggling and they got to make a change, and I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah. So as far as Johnny Morton up in the booth, I agree with you. I think a couple of weeks ago I heard him say an interview, and they were asking him about his coaching style, and when he said it in the interview, like he like, yeah, well, I'll be up top, and so I'll be able to see the whole field from up there. And when he said it, it kind of took me off guard, because, like you said, like, I see other teams where some coordinators are up in the booth, but like you said, man, it's such an old school way of doing things, and it kind of took me off guard because it's weird. I'm not used to seeing guys up there anymore. But I mean, I'm willing to give them a chance if that's what helps them see the whole field, and what I'm saying, that's what gives them the best angle. Hey, if he can handle it from there and he calls the right plays from up there, I don't care where you sit, where you stand. Just make sure you call the right plays. Hey, whatever. But if he comes out there and he's out there doing wild stuff, hey, either bring your ass down to the field so you can see what's going on, or Anthony Lynn this guy, man. we in the window when we ain't got time for the bullshit, dog. Hey, drop the axe. I'm ready, dog. Hey, I'm ready to fire a nigga week 3.
Detroit.